Check, baby, check, baby, check. 1, 2. You hear my voice, let me know. Hear Jason's out there, Jason? What can you tell me about hearing my voice?
If you're thinking of selling your house, want to know how much more you could be getting?
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Space Lounge, the special evening edition of DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show on this great channel we call DYOR Media. It's gotta check every time, even though I know what day it is, so I say it correctly. December 16th, 2025. It's almost time for Christmas. Hopefully you got your shopping done in. Not a lot of days left to get it in before Christmas here. Even Amazon's giving you those notices saying, hey, last chance here. Last chance before Christmas. Year's almost over. Year's coming to an end. Bitcoin is going to likely finish out lower than it started and have a down year. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Anyway, my man Pedro Garcia is in the house. He'll be with us in just a moment. As always, right as we go on the air, he has some kind of technical issues. But he's going to be with us tonight. Tonight's Space Lounge is in the open, as we say. It's not a Rumble Premium show like we did last night. We got a lot of our Rumble hours in last night. So tonight's going to be on the open. Welcome to everybody to the show. You're hearing the old Space Lounge new theme music in the background. Jason says, perfect. The sound is clear as can be. Thank you very much. Now all we need is Pedro's mic. Pedro, you're on if you're here.
All right, you should be able to hear me.
Pedro, we can hear you. We just can't see you. There we go. Let's bring up Mr. Pedro Garcia, the man in the box right here. Mr. Pedro Garcia, what's happening, Pedro?
What's up? How you guys doing?
Pedro, today it would technically be Technical Tuesday, which we'd do a big show about it. We don't have to do the full Technical Tuesday, but I thought maybe we just hit the top indicators like Bitcoin, XRP, gold, and kind of things that the algorithm loves.
We will. Let's go ahead and I think that's a good idea. We can go over some of the bonds, what's actually happening with the the Fed. I was talking with a person. And we were going over where does the money go? Where does the money go from the Fed into, and is there a way to actually track it? And the individual, has friends who works at the Fed, has connections there, and he goes, you'd be shocked that there's no way really to track it. And I was like, wait, what? I go, just look at the Fed's balance sheet. We can see it. He goes, that's what they show us.
Right.
And I was like, wait, what? Because that's what they show us. And I was like, oh shoot, another kerfuffle? No, wait.
Well,
And then he says, how do we know if any of the real money debt situation is real? How do we know if it's not 100,000 more or hundreds of trillions of dollars more? And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, Europe.
We don't know.
Think about Europe. You don't know. You don't know. And he goes, think about Europe. Think about Europe. And I go, okay. He goes, are they poorer or richer than us? I go, well, technically, they're definitely much more poor, but they live a very good life. I mean, they're not poor. Like, Europe isn't hurting like Americans. And he goes, right. And I go, oh, shoot. What am I missing? Oh, I just even, and all of a sudden I'm like, and the guy's very well, he's knowledgeable in TradFi and areas, he has the pedigree, he went to the school, but my brain, he knows if he feeds me things, my brain just starts to go, wait, find out, like, I'm like a hound dog. Wait, what? Oh my goodness, wait, I smell blood, and all of a sudden my brain just starts to like, everybody here on the show knows, I'm a weirdo.
Once Pedro gets his teeth into finding out if something's real or not, he's going to let us know for sure. He'll just go over to the bond markets and say, hey, do you trust this or not? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a good show for you tonight. It's Technical Tuesday. It's in the evening. We're going to have a little fun here today. A couple of the headlines from today. Thankfully, not a down day in BTC land. Everything across the board, as you can see from the TradeWave app next to me here, is in the green. Just barely. The sell pressure stopped today. It was like everyone took a break and just chilled, which is good. We need that every now and then to happen. Give everyone a break and stop the ride down, which has been going on. Also, some other news in the adoption front. Visa has announced that it's going to be settling some of its stablecoin transactions on the Solana blockchain. So big news for Solana there with Visa coming in and saying. We did?
Yeah, a little. Yeah, I mentioned it when you were off doing something. Oh, the dog situation. I brought that up on
you know what? I thought I recalled something, but I didn't equate it to our show. Just came across my news thing on Decrypt, which I use for a lot of news sources. Anyway, thought that to be very interesting. And Solana didn't react in price as much as I thought it would be good news for them, but they're up the same as the rest of the market. But actually, that was all the news I had. And the other news I had, Pedro, is which we can get into later. The Hollywood actors and writers may go on strike again because of AI and how it turns out people that wear green suits and hang by ropes in front of fake green computer-generated stages are complaining that now AI can do that instead of them hanging in front of a fake stage. The fake AI is better than their fake CGI, so they're gonna go on strike. I gotta tell you, actors, you just got to learn to be better than the AI, and then you will keep your jobs. If not, you're gonna be out.
Dude, there are full-on movies now that are literally like, I was watching this one. I'm part of this AI thing on X, and I was sitting there. Somebody posted this movie, and it was all prompts. It was all prompts. It's at a point now that, like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, if you had a character's face, it would change. Like, because the hallucinations on the AI. Yeah,
now they can keep it consistent. Yeah.
Consistency is phenomenal, and you're like, oh my goodness, this guy had literally a 15-minute like short story, and it was so good, and it was all done through AI. And I'm like, I literally thought to myself, I go, the actor looks familiar, but he's not familiar. He's AI. You know what I'm saying? Like, they probably took a scan of all the famous actors and actresses, and created these, like hodgepodge thing that looks familiar, but not so much, right? Because if it's too unfamiliar, your brain is going to reject it. But it's a bit eerie because it's too familiar. You know what I'm saying? Like it's got crazy.
All right,
Anyhow.
let's start out the Space Lounge today by talking about Bitcoin. What changed? Let's recap. Last night we talked extensively, Pedro, in the premium edition about where it's going to go. With the next couple of levels likely will be. Let's bring that knowledge to the wider audience today. And Bitcoin's going to go up. What's its likely level? Bitcoin's going to go down. What its likely level is.
All right, so let's check it out here real quick, and we will have fun. So we have a couple things here that we talked about, right? Was the low of that 83 area. We can see here that we had a nice little bounce off of the area here, which I said we could have a little bit of liquidity, but again, not enough demand to really put into saying we're going to continue up, right? We can see that the buy side was definitely much weaker than the sell side. Even today alone, just since the evening, we already are about 50%, 40% of the volume on the buy side from yesterday. So it's really at a point where it's like, yeah, this thing's going to continue down. It's definitely looking like it wants to continue. You can see here the push up and then the kink down right here is one of those ones that to me it's a huge indicator for me. I like looking at kinks. It's one of those things that, at least when I'm looking at a market, that I want to be paying attention to. In addition to it, that volume is it's just weaker, and then we can already see in the evening that the sell volume is easily 40% of yesterday's volume. And so to me, it's screaming that it wants to go down. I expect it to come and tap that 80,000 and then potentially that 75 to 74,000 area. Now on the back end, I want to also encourage you guys that, again, if you can work an additional, if you work a 9 to 5, you catch some extra hours where during the holidays where you can save up some money, some extra dry powder. So when we hit that 75 and potentially that 67,000 area, potentially, I'm not saying that we are, but we very much could. If we hit that area, I want you to be able to buy in at those levels. And so hence being able to really, being able to buy in at a low level. That's it, And so I just want to make sure you guys do that. I know that's what I'm going to be doing. Again, that's not financial advice. Please do your own research. But it's just, I'm expecting it. I mean, it's really, you can see that it's getting, the sell side is getting bigger and the buy side is getting weaker. And so that's why I'm expecting it to go down. But even at that, like 84,000, 83, I like it. I bought some BTC here and I want to buy some more down at that 75, 74,000 area here. So it's, and then fingers crossed, it'd be dope. I get it down at that 67,000. That would be, that would be crazy.
Hey, Pedro, could you move your mic a little closer to your mouth, like in?
Oh yeah, is that better? Can you guys hear me better?
Yeah, I thought it was my headphones, then I moved my headphones and like, oh, it's Pedro's mic. That's better, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, people are like, oh, it's a double bottom here, it's gonna bounce right off. I'm thinking there's liquidity under there and the market's gonna eat it and bring it down. That's what I'm thinking. There's a whole bunch of people, when people see double bottoms like that, they put their stops under it. They go long, they put their stops under it because that's what all the websites tell them to do. And what really happens, the market says, I know where all the liquidity is, and it drops down to get it. But busts out the longs, stops them out, grabs the liquidity, gets its supply filled, and then starts its way up, or says, I need some more liquidity, and it'll head down to the next level. It's almost routine how like all these websites still say, find a double bottom or a double top and just put your stop there and you're good. And then it just goes right through it. And they still say it. They don't fix it. They don't update it. They still think it's the 1980s.
Well, the thing is people still trade the same way.
I know, and that's why we take their money.
Yeah, it's just what's sad because it's like, there's a guy. His name is Smart Money. Smart Money. tactics, and he talks about liquidity points and how banks use those areas, those stops. And it's interesting that his stuff is really more like directed toward generation. You know, a lot of why am I forgetting what it's called? A lot of
Millennials?
Millennials. Thank you. It's so hard. Millennials and Generation Z are at a point where it's
excitement
just,
abounds.
yeah, like, I'm sorry. It's just Generation Z and Generation Y, I think, will be much better traders than Generation X and baby boomers, because they've taken on to the understanding of, yeah, this is where the liquidity is, and they're just kind of waiting for that to happen, for it to come down to these liquidity areas, and then to see people's stops get taken, which is basically Generation X and baby boomers, and then from there seeing it push up. So it's really interesting to see what's happening. That's all I'm trying to say. Let's go ahead and move here real quick, because I just realized it's already 9:30, and I'm like, wow, I thought we were gonna, and that was my fault. Let's go over some indicators here real quick as we move forward. Let's first go over the S&P 500. So S&P 500 is looking oddly familiar. The fact is that we had the huge sell-off come in from October down to November. And then again, we saw the kind of rally up here. Now, here's the part that's so interesting. The fact that Trump has literally said, in my presidency, we will always be hitting all-time highs, which screams to me, yeah, they're looking to drop this market. So, unfortunately, he's part of the whole entire crew. But I feel like this is a little heavy up here over the last few days. You can see here with the amount of sell volume coming in versus the buy volume, which was more pushing up. Right, so now we're seeing sell volume step in, and it is more advent towards me that this would create the second low, or a lower high. This would be the low, right, a lower low from this low here. And so I would expect it to see it come down again and put an additional lower low. And I think this time we'll fall through the 100 period moving average and come and test that 200-day period moving average, which is sitting around that 6260 area. And so that kind of looks like an anteater, which is really interesting. Or maybe even a
6,200. What are we current? Your picture's blocking the current price. But...
Oh, I apologize. Let's go ahead and move.
No, you don't need to move it over. It's hard. People can't read it anyway. All it does is squish the screen. Screen.
Screen. It squishes the screen. Okay, but you can see here real quick that this level is where I'm looking at right here. That is this 6260 area sitting at the 200-day period moving average on the S&P 500. So it's kind of predicated, almost feeling as if it's starting to get top heavy here. We're not necessarily seeing any supply wicks, but it's really kind of just sitting in at that level with an increase in volume into the sell side. So that's why I'm more apt to sit there and say, I think it's going to come down into these lower areas of that 6,200. In addition to that, we have a nice little demand area sitting right here. And it would be about, I would say it's about to be a 600 point pullback, which would basically be about 10% of a pullback. And so something that we could see happen here. It could potentially go lower, but I think that's a good place to be able to see or gauge where we're probably going to see it come down into. And it does have a bit of a reminiscence of the movement happening because of the, why am I forgetting what it's called? A recession. There's a lot of recession talk actually coming out. People are talking about it. Europe is talking about America's recession and a slowdown in the economy, that a drop in a lot of the, we had an increase of a lot of jobs. That was the other thing. But we're going to go over some of those jobs. Maybe not today. We'll go over it tomorrow or on Friday. Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, this is non-farm payroll week.
Yeah. So a lot of this stuff is going to be coming out. We're going to be talking about that stuff here this week as they release a lot of those numbers. I think there's going to be a lot of fakery happening with that. But again, we've become accustomed to this, unfortunately. And politics are politics. Politicians gonna politic, as what's his name talks about. I'm forgetting his name, Mr. Tom Bilu. So shout out to him. All right, so here we go. So that's when it comes to that. The NQ is looking very similar to it. So you can see here again, it is a lower high. Is right here is a low. Here we have a lower low, and so hence we're already below the 8, and we're about to come down to the 20 as well as the 50. We're sitting right at that 50 level, so I'm expecting us to come down and tap down 100 as the NQ starts to sell off again. There's that level of that 22,582, which is roughly where that liquidity area, and then you have the 200 period moving average sitting at that 22,788 area. And so I'm kind of just paying attention to those areas because, again, this is going to be a bit of, let me gauge how this works. It's going to be 5, it's 2, that's 3,000. We're talking, potentially a 10-12% pullback as well off of this movement here. Now let's go into my best friends here called the bonds. Okay. And you can see here that they're still falling through the roof. I mean, even from last week, this is a 1 month yield.
Is this yields or okay, yields?
Bond yields. Is yields. Yeah, bond yields. And so when we start to see bond yields drop, right, typically the U.S. dollar it doesn't get bought because it doesn't behoove somebody to buy U.S. bond or U.S. dollars. And so this is where we should see a drop in the dollar again, pulling back here as this happens. But it also predicated on, are people going to be trusting Japan? Are people going to be trusting a lot of these other companies, right, to do a good job in relationship to either gold or silver, interchangeable, and give them correct numbers, versus the dollar is kind of stagnant in that same sense, so they can bounce back and forth off each other. So I'm kind of waiting to see how that reacts. But like I said, we've been talking about this 350 area here for almost, since June of 2025. So about 6 months here now. And so we're coming back down to this level here. So it's going to be a really interesting level here because this is where the Fed says they're not going to, this is where they're going to keep their rates at, So I'm expecting it to potentially, if this comes down and I start to see this fall even further, this is a huge indication of I don't care what the Fed says of them, if they're going to hold on to interest rate, if they're going to fall through that 3.25 area, this or the 3.5 area to the 3.25 area, then to me that screams, there's no trust in the Fed anymore and what they say. And so really interesting. And the fact is that that American economy, when it comes to the dollar, is a thing called stable coins, and those are becoming they're starting to proliferate throughout the world, and people want to hold US dollars in that sense. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that. Also, when we look at the 5-year yield, the 2-year yield and 5-year yield, we're watching the short term and the long term start to inverse on each other. So you can see here, we're seeing lower lows and lower highs on the 2-year term, right? Which when you start to see the shorter term really fall harder than the longer term, that's a good sign that this economy is starting to kind of balance itself out, right? It's when you start to see people hold on to the long term less, and you start to see short-term yield increase even higher than long-term yields. So it shows we might be coming towards kind of the bottom here on what's actually happening in this recession. And also what we're watching here is a counterbalance, that if we start to see this really fall through this level on the 2-year against the 5-year, right? This means that people are showing that they have more confidence in the U.S. is the best way of putting it. There's a lot more confidence. I just feel like I just sounded like Kamala Harris with a bunch of word salad. Totally, like I was trying to get it out, and it was like.
To be honest, Pedro, the bond market, and I hope our viewers understand this too. learning about the bond market is kind of like trying to figure out what Kamala Harris says, because there's a lot of inverse relationships when you're like, what? That doesn't make no sense to me. And so I get you, because it took me a while to get it, Pedro, and I do this for a living. And I get it now. So as you talk, I get it. I know what you're going to say and all that type of stuff. But I know you viewers are sometimes a little confused about the bond market. And trust me and Pedro here when we say it is the lie detector of the U.S. government. Of any country that has a liquid bond market, it's the lie detector. If the government is saying great things, but the yields are going up, and I don't mean the Fed pushing their rates up. I mean the market driving interest rates up or yields up on these bonds, because they won't buy them at a lower rate. They said, well, we got to take more risk. We want higher rates, and then the government has to sell them at a higher yield. That means there's less trust in the U.S. government's economic figures, or in its people or whatever. And so when there's conflicting information. When they're up there on the podium going, everything's great, guys, everything's great, but the bond yields are going up, that's the lie detector. I mean, something's amiss. And if you'll watch our show enough, we'll pick those out for you, and teach you how to do it, and you will understand it yourself. Pedro, we got an ad read coming up here, and then we'll get back to this in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I love doing the ad reads. It's one of my most favorite things here. I'm gonna turn you off for this, Pedro. Ladies and gentlemen, are you still scrambling for a Christmas gift? Well, many shipping deadlines have already passed. Well, here's your lifeline, Chicago Steak Company. That's right. Head to mychicagosteak.com/rumble. Code RUMBLE when you check out. They're still shipping for Christmas, and shipping is free. Hurry, though. Slots are filling up fast. Give your loved ones the top 2% of beef in America. USDA Prime and Premium Angus, hand-cut by master butchers. Marbling so good it hits a hot pan and fills the whole house with that seared smell. That buttery meat goodness. You know the one, what I'm talking about. Spend $229 and they'll throw in 6 free ribeyes plus shipping. $240 in premium steak on the way from Chicago Steak Company. Your gift shows up in a black and gold box packed with dry ice. They crack it open, vapor rolls out, instant Christmas morning feel. That's right. Skip the sweater, give them something they'll actually remember. mychicagosteak.com/rumble, code RUMBLE, RUMBLE. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a QR code right here on the screen here. Hold your cell phone up to that and punch that thing. Put your eyeballs on our advertisers, ladies and gentlemen. It really helps Pedro and I out, even if you just click the link and go visit them. Sorry, there's a beeping in the background that's throwing me off here. Anyway, I have no idea what's going on back here. But anyway, if you're watching on your cell phone, there's a link in the chat here. It says learn more. If you're watching on the replay, thank you very much. In the description down below, there's a link to mychicagosteak.com. Use code RUMBLE when checking out to get additional discounts off and all good stuff. I know this is good stuff. The shipping's great. You know, I don't know why, because I used it. I used it for those people that it's just tough to buy stuff. What do you get somebody that can buy whatever they want? And you get them steak, because there's all types of good stuff you can get them. Thank you to mychicagosteak.com for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live. Oh. Sorry. I had a disaster going on behind me here. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Pedro, welcome back to the show here.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, just the gallery in the back here, Mrs. Striking and stuff. Just sorry, y'all. It's going about life. As if we're not live across the world here.
Not yet, but if she keeps doing that, I bet you we will.
Oh, honey. No, the camera's not on. Anyway, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's the evening, so I put off cocktail hour early. I'm sipping just some nice little Jim Beam along with my glass of water. Last night I didn't have the glass of water. I just had more Jim Beam, and I was a little silly by the end of the show, but it's a good show last night. We had great viewership last night for a premium a premium show last night. It was very good. And today, right as of right now, in the Rumble Finance and Crypto section, we're show number 2. And the only one ahead of us is just one of those 24-hour things that just shows the debt clock. I don't know why they have 34 people watching the debt clock, but good for them. So I don't know. They should be watching our show talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should rate it.
No, maybe I should go into their comments and say, hey, we are talking about the debt clock on DYOR Live in the Space Lounge.
All right. So while Tom is doing that, let's go over the last little bit here, at least when it comes to bonds and how that correlates with what we're going to be talking about with the U.S. debt here. All right. So you can see here that our long-term yields are strong, which is showing strength within the bond market, meaning that people would actually want to invest in the United States for the long term. And that I hate to say it, but Trump is literally right when he says we're the next hot thing in the world. The world knows if America finally gets its crap together and doesn't want to mess around anymore, they want to be a part of it because they know that's just gangbusters to make money. And so one of the ways you can actually invest in the US is actually buying bonds, i.e. treasuries, and long-term bonds as well. And so you can see here that we're watching the yields kind of going up here. And yes, they're inverse, but also they do work in tandem at times with each other. So I think this is kind of like what we're going to be seeing here. Now let's go ahead and look at some of our bonds here. And the reason why I'm saying that is literally, you can see that we're still in the idiot box, as Mr. Herlihy talks about. But within their idiot box, though, that 10-year bond here still showing strength. We came down into this area here of liquidity, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and we saw a jump from this level here. Now we're seeing a push up. Now what I want to see here at this moment is we want to see a decent amount of volume coming in, and it's kind of like what we're watching it right here with this level. And then also right here at this level, we're seeing it start to come in. So to me, I'm looking for us to most likely come and tap that 112.30 area, which is the 50-period moving average, pull back, and we want to see volume come in. So we want to see it come down. The fact that we're going down into the evening right now, which is always a bullish sign as the market's moving up. You can see here as it's coming in, it's starting to find some support on that 8-period moving average. So as
sorry, Pedro, which thing do you have up right now?
This is the 10-year bond.
Oh, okay, 10-year bond. Okay, we're still in the bonds, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, because this correlates with the U.S. debt, and it's important to understand what's actually happening here as we're losing viewers. Okay, let me make it simpler and funner. So the fact is that if we don't get people to buy these, guess what? You don't get to poop in clean water.
Right.
Yeah. Make it funner. But in the same sense, you can see here that we're starting to find some support on the 8-period. We're sitting at that 112.095 area. So it's kind of like 112.095 area. So that's kind of like what we're looking at here. And I'm watching it. I want to see it come down and kind of bounce off that 50-period moving average, sitting at that 112.300. And then seeing it come back down as it taps off of the 8-period moving average as it starts to swing up. So it's kind of like what I'm expecting. And then from there, see it continue up to that 114 area is really what I'm looking at for the 10-year. Now, we should see the similar situation correlate with what we're watching with the 20 as well as the 30-year bond. And potentially, if they approve of it, 50-year bond, which is going to be crazy. But that's for another day and another time. So VIX is actually showing a lot of weakness here as it comes down.
The volatility index in the markets, ladies and gentlemen.
So
we love volatility over on the crypto side. We don't want stableness. We want volatility, so we get price swings we can make money on. To a point.
Yeah.
To a point.
Yes. So in the same sense, you could sit here and say the VIX here, the VIX. We're coming down into these lower levels here of the 14 area. If we come down, I think I do expect us to really kind of see a push up here. We're coming into Goldman Sachs rollover, and so we're going to see a new contract come in here. So I expect it to go down first. If we see it go down first, I would expect it to go back up. So that's kind of like what I'm expecting it. Hence, then we should see short-term volatility in the stock market, hence causing a lot of everything to kind of, fall apart in a sense, but in a good way. But that's it in a nutshell for that short term. Now let's check out gold. We've talked about gold yesterday, but again, ultimately, I'm expecting gold to get that 5,000, honestly. And then we talked about, we thought it was going to come down to that 38.44 to the 38.20, but it didn't. Unfortunately, it found its support right here, and we're starting to watch it push up. Now, we are watching the volume drop off here, but again, I think if it even comes back down even further, we're going to see it put in a higher low and then see it go back up again even more. So I'm still extremely bullish on gold as well as silver. We were talking about silver potential pullbacks. We talked about that 56 area to that 53 area, pulling back down to there, creating a higher low. And then as it, come on, creating a higher low and then seeing it continue higher here. Again, I'm expecting, no joke, again, it's not financial advice, but a 120 silver again. I don't think us, because we're not out of the woods yet here. We're still in a world of pain here, in a world of pain with a lot of stuff that's happening. But it doesn't mean that, people are going to bail out on America. Just the fact is that we're still the dominant world power and the most lethal nation in the world. If you want to act a fool, we'd love to test. If you want to act a fool and test us, trust me, we have no problem testing you and your resolve. Just ask Venezuela.
We'll
be talking about that later. Okay. Man, why are people leaving us?
Hey, let's do a quick shout out to everybody here. Sucker Free City. Jesus coming to us on the Rumble channel. Or on the YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Coming to us all the way from the great Sucker Free City called San Francisco City, otherwise known as. I'm just not going to get into insulting San Francisco tonight. Could take too long. What's up with my chads? He says. Sorry, a late show today. Yes, we're doing. Pedro's got stuff on Tuesdays, and we decided to do an evening show. Did it last night in the Rumble Premium Room. Tonight, open to everybody. Crypto Mike, all the way from Kanukistan. Thanks for joining us. Actually, I'm in Kanukistan right now too. So I'm in Ontario. He's in Manitoba. Thanks for joining up, and he hits us up with the emotes of me and Pedro. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll do another commercial in a little bit, but until then, the gold and the silver. Pedro, we haven't spoken. This is Tom's been drinking. No, I've had 3 sips. That's it. That's it. We've been talking a lot about precious metals lately, Pedro, and we've even had some precious metal advertisers on our channel recently, specifically Augusta Precious Metals. And if anyone from Augusta's watching tonight, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. They reached out to me. I reached out to them. They reached out back, said, hey, let's set up a time to talk about your show. And so I'd like to get an idea from all you viewers. Now, just as we get to this point that I wanted to talk about, the viewership drops in half. I'd like to find out how many of you guys are actually interested in precious metals from an investing point of view. Let me know, because I always love to talk to advertisers about how interested our audience is. I know Sucker Free talks about PAX G all the time. Chuck talks about gold and silver a lot. Pedro talks about it all the time too. Gold and diamonds. Why do you have this odd thing? He's not talking about investing. He's talking about wearing. Bling! Look at my grill. Oh, we love messing with you, Jesus. Or is it the rims on your cars? It
is the rims. It is the rims. So, as we're talking about the rims and the money being made there, what's interesting is us looking at Tesla.
Yeah, let's look at Tesla. That's been rocking it.
Yeah, Tesla, with the news that SpaceX is looking to go public, has skyrocketed to literally all-time highs at 191.50. So we're talking new all-time highs here. Last time it hit that was back in December of 2024. So it's literally, I think it's really interesting. If they continue this, the skyrocket, the demand wick on this is crazy. Like you're talking.
That's the yearly chart he's looking at. Pedro, the news from Tesla wasn't just its link up with SpaceX and Elon's wanting to go public with SpaceX. They announced that they're now doing the robo-taxis with full self-driving Teslas with no safety monitors, just out on their own. And if they can pull that off it's not even in a test mode. It's in, like, they're doing it in Vegas or something like that. And if they can pull it off, it'll just ruin Uber and Lyft and Crew. In fact, yesterday Uber stock went tanking down because Elon came out and said, "Hey, our cars can go pick up people without any drivers." So imagine that. You have this big company, you developed it, you have this network of drivers all over the world working for you, and Elon just comes out and goes, beep, and you're out of business. You don't need drivers. All you need is Teslas. But that drove the price. Imagine the options market yesterday. Man, people must have made super bank and lost super bank. Options is kind of a zero-sum game there. But people that were, for a long time, people were not optimistic about Tesla. Really had to perform. The company said, "Oh, it's going to pay $1 trillion if certain things are met." People were not happy about that. But if you look at the deal, in order to get paid $1 trillion, the company had to perform better than any company has performed in the history of the earth. And Elon knew exactly what he was doing because he got that passed before the announcement for full self-drive cars came out and robo-taxis. Hey, just talk about the money printing machine.
Well, also, we were even
just talking
about this is funding also all of his other ventures, which is so interesting, right? Like the cash generating from the Tesla is going to funnel, again, money into Grok, funnel money into all of his other businesses, and hence those businesses will funnel money back into it's like the money printing is ridiculous here, but he's actually producing real goods and services, so it's okay. That type of money printing is okay because it's money, not new money being created, but old money being deployed correctly into the economy, and hence producing money. Then, and that money produces money for everybody else. It's just in a nutshell. Yep. And it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. Now, my biggest fear is this. He is still talking a lot of trash to people, and my biggest fear is that someone's gonna get mad at him and take him out, and that would be a disservice to the rest of the world immensely.
It would be a great disservice, but I know from working with his security team back after he sold PayPal that he has a deep and thorough security team in which Elon is rarely in the public eye in a pre-announced space. Meaning, like, he doesn't just show up at the Golden Globes and stuff like that. You don't see him pop. He pops into the White House. He pops in to his headquarters here and there. You know, he doesn't just pop into Starbucks or places where it's known. They don't advertise where he's going to be. He just ends up where he is. And then, if you remember, they wanted to stop people from tracking his jet. And even though he was removed from the FAA database, which you can legally do, people figured out still how to track his jet because by process of elimination and a couple other hints from the various traffic signal emitting systems. They just don't want to know where he's going because of just that. It would be a tragic loss if someone like him with his capabilities were to have to, you know, as they say, have his estate planning case mature, and his the power that his money is doing in the right hands, meaning his hands, in developing new products, is the world hasn't seen since essentially Thomas Edison. You know, in that crew of inventors in that era coming up with new stuff. So it's just amazing. It would be tough. Let's see, what does the sucker free say? He's not dumb. I'm sure he was waiting for them other to jump through the hoops and legalities that goes with car driving on its own. Decide, okay, now I can activate self-driving mode. Yep. What I'm afraid, you know what I'm afraid about self-driving mode is that Elon and other companies will pressure cities to become friendly to self-driving cars.
Oh, absolutely.
I already know. That means bad things for pedestrians in walkable cities and your health. It's proven over and over again. Anytime you live near a high volume road, it's a major cancer artery. Any place where cars go fast, where the rubber and not fumes from gasoline, but from rubber and dirt and dust that comes up off the road, it's a major cancer issue. And that's why I've never lived near a road anymore. I don't mean your little local road or your subdivision road or stuff like that, but the big main city stroads that have 6 lanes, highways, all that type of stuff, really bad for you. And I'm afraid that they're going to pressure cities to make the roads more auto-friendly or self-driving friendly, which essentially mean barriers so pedestrians can't cross anywhere, lots of reflectors so the cars can see easily. You don't care if they build highways out in the middle of nowhere just for self-driving cars, and you just get on it and it just takes you where you want to go. That would be great. But in the cities, you got to keep them walkable, and I would rather see all the cars pushed to the edge of cities, and then you take some kind of self-driving transit to where the cars are, and then you go between cities or where you want to go. But I don't want to see these. It would be such a disaster for having nice cities. It would just be, you know, all the roads would look like Formula One and NASCAR races with fences and. Don't get me started. I could go a long time on this.
I'll put it like this, and I think it's really important, right? So there's a city where I live near, and I remember this was a while back ago. We're almost talking 10 years ago or 8 years ago here, and it's when I was Ubering, and I remember sitting there and picked up one of the city planners. And I just, you know, I was like, oh, you know, do you like your job? She was like, yeah, I really do. And I was like, what's your favorite part, your most funnest part? She goes, you promise not to say anything. And I go, yeah, what's up? She goes, we are planning for self-driveless cars, and we are building sensors all over the city. So when Tesla, and I think she mentioned another company in China, like legit, right? That they're going to bring these driverless cars, and they're just going to run like a downtown, right? If you want to go like partying or something like that, you'll be able to go through. And they are planning this. Basically, it's not New York, but they call it Little New York in a sense, right? And what was really interesting is, as I was sitting there listening to her, I said, there's no way you could do that. I was like, that's not possible. It's not even there. They're saying that's like 20, 30 years out. And they're like, no, I'll probably be within 10 years. And we're planning for it, and we want to be a hub so that if you want to do a huge conference and you just want to be able to take your cars or these just cars, you know, and you just jump in them and they take you from one place, 2-3 miles down the road, and you can stay at a hotel or something like that. And I sat there and I was like, really? She was like, absolutely, that is coming.
Well, there's plenty of great stuff about it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid the corporation lobbyists, which push for lots of bad things for self-interests, will end up ruining many of our great cities. Even worse than let's face it, roads and cars have ruined all of our major cities. Go to places like Houston and Dallas; they're just these awful places of parking lots. Even if you see the building you want to go to, you can't walk there. You'll have to walk 70 miles this way and then 40 miles that way just to go 600 yards. And in countries like the Netherlands, they've spent the past 30 years redesigning all of their roads to be not useful. And guess what? Business has gone on. The quality of life has gone up. People exercise more. They walk more. They bike more. Amsterdam used to look like New York City. It was choked with traffic. And now it's this beautiful place. And their GDP has gone up. Their productivity has gone up. All these people say, oh, you need the cars. No, you don't need the cars. You absolutely don't need them at all. And so if they put self-driving cars like in tunnels, like Elon's Hyperloop, or elevated like some space age thing, great. But I don't want them changing all the roads just to make self-driving cars more safe, because then they'll force it and you won't be able to drive your own car. And two, the roads will just look like Formula One tracks, and our cities will be awful. But you'll get.
I think that would be epic, bro. I haven't actually, you could.
Well, imagine if they just built like in downtown New York, they just said, all right, this is only self-driving car territory. Which means you can't cross the roads to build bridges over the roads, and then essentially you get in the car and it just goes as fast as it can, doesn't hit anything. But now the city sucks. It's just buildings in the middle of roads that can't. Once again, don't get me started.
I can see that. I see your perspective. I do see that perspective, and that does make sense. But you know what? But it makes more sense that it's not in our today's terms, but in the actual original term, it's more progressive. I'm not meaning like the far left progressive ideology, but I mean just talking progressive. It makes sense that you would have cities, right, where you have an underlying, they were talking. He had his boring company, right, where you would bore little, Yeah,
he's got tunnels in Vegas. They're not great, right, but they get some.
They're all right.
Sort of
yeah,
get
they're
the
okay.
job done, yeah.
But imagine if you could just have a whole entire city where the first layer is literally self-driverless cars, driverless cars, where you come in, you get in, boom, it takes you to the thing, and then you go up, like the level, and then right above that level you have like all your stores, all the stuff, storefront things, and then you go to the next place you need to go, and you don't have to pay for gas. You don't. I honestly thought about going out and buying a Tesla, because he was literally saying, very rarely do I drive. Like most people need their car to drive to and from work, and so literally I would be making money letting my car just drive people around, and then when I need it, I say, hey, come back.
Right. I know.
That in itself to me just seems so dope. And so I don't know. That idea to me, I think, is just more progressive in the idea that it makes sense versus having my car sit out there, not do anything. It's wasted energy, right? And
no, I agree with you. A car is one of the worst assets you can buy. It's a depreciating asset. Oh, Pedro's internet connection just died. Cars are depreciating assets. They cost maintenance. They have high operational costs, and they sit around for long periods of time doing nothing at all. Doing absolutely nothing at all. I was gonna run a commercial right now, Pedro, but we dropped under. You know what? I'm gonna do it right now. And Got a new advertiser today, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. That's right. Get ready, fight fans. Let's get ready to fight. Come on. On December 20th, the biggest crossover boxing event of the year drops live from Dubai on Rumble Premium. It's Misfits Mania, the fight before Christmas. Headlined by Andrew Tate stepping into the ring against heavyweight champion Chase Demore for Misfit Boxing's heavyweight title. This isn't just another bout. Nope. No. It's a global event with stacked undercard and all-out action you can't miss. Tune in exclusively on Rumble Premium and witness drama, power, and one of the most talked about clashes of the year. Mark your calendars, December 20th, because Misfits Mania is about to deliver fireworks. Sign up today. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a QR code right here on the screen. Put your eyeballs on our advertisers. Hold your cell phone up there. Pop that QR code and learn about Misfits Mania and Rumble Premium. If you're watching on your phone or tablet, in the chat, there's a link that says learn more. If you're watching on the replay, right here in the description, thank you very much for watching. There's a link to it. Please help us out. Even if you just click it and visit the page, it helps Pedro and I out a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Rumble Premium and Misfits Mania for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live. All right, Pedro is not back yet. His internet connection is out. Do not see you in the back room there, Pedro, if you're listening to me. Anyway, while we're waiting for Pedro to go, it looks like he's coming back right now. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro should be back on the air right now.
Excellent.
Did you see that? Did you hear any of that ad, Pedro?
I did. But I heard it because my phone was. I heard you. I just turned on the speaker. So it was some about Misfits and some about.
Yeah, Andrew Tate is fighting. I already can't remember the name. Heavyweight champion something Demore.
Dude, he's so old, bro, compared to fighters. I mean, he's in his late 30s, early 40s. He is.
Fighters. Fighters are not people you want to mess with, man. Even if you're. I mean, we all saw Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. I mean, Mike is 60 or something like that. I get it.
Yeah.
And Mike just wanted that paycheck, that's for sure. So he kind of didn't even look like he was trying that hard. But
yeah.
But Tate could get really hurt. I mean.
Oh wait, well, Tate used to be a fighter. He was a legit, he was a good fighter in his prime.
Right. He's not in his prime.
No joke. Yeah, he was a great fighter, great kickboxer. I mean, no joke. But he's not in his prime, and these guys are in their prime, and it's like, I mean, you don't need the money. Why are you gonna put yourself in getting brain damage, right?
It's just, I mean, I know at my young age, I react to things just a tad slower than I used to, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing I react to is coming at me as fast as a professional fighter's jab. I mean, they're so fast. I saw one once in person.
Powerful.
Wasn't even a really
professional. Yeah, it wasn't
professional guy. It was just a super awesome amateur, and it was like you didn't even see it. It was just like, what? How'd it go that fast? You know, you're like, how can the human body move that fast? And that's you'd be like, oh hey, just like that. Anyway, we welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the show. Here you're watching DYOR Live in the special Space Lounge Evening Edition. Our show's usually on at 12 p.m. during the day, doing the evening events. During the holiday season, the schedule gets all screwed up, so sometimes we have to do it during the evening, especially on Tuesdays. So welcome to the show. If you're watching on the replay, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Remember to like and follow to get notified of when we go live. Pedro? Uh-oh. Dead again. Pedro's dead again. All right, while Pedro's waiting for him to come back, I'm going to talk about the monthly view of Bitcoin here that I like to talk about periodically here. Let's get the monthly view up. That's the daily view. Oh, not that chart. Not that chart. Not that chart. Why are all the charts the same? What do I do with my chart? BTC, USDT. I think it's the KuCoin chart. Yes, the KuCoin chart here. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard me a lot talk about this. This is me teaching myself to have a more monthly, a longer time frame look at things. So we've been tracking the weeks here in the great charts, and I've been trying to predict how the month would go based on the generally accepted rules of time frames in trading with the candlesticks. If you look at the monthly candlestick, every candlestick has a couple of different parts. It has a demand wick, it has a body, it has a supply wick. On the longer time frames, you almost always have those wicks. On the shorter time frames, you can have no demand wick or no supply wick, but on the longer time frames, it comes down to like 99% of the wicks have all those. You have the open high low close or the open low high close, all those things. Everything makes up that candle. That monthly candle is made up of a couple of weeks, 4 weeks, sometimes 5 weeks. And what we like to do is talk about when the time frame starts. Pedro taught me that where the time frame comes in, meaning if the month opens up, it's likely to do the opposite on the ending of the month to create that candle and all the different parts of it. So we're trying to figure out how the weeks go in between. This is not technical analysis by any means. This is just going over how the rules generally play out and the probabilities generally play out. So we say we know it opened up, that means it likely will finish low. To go down, you have to go up first. The week before it'd go up, the week before that would go down. Obviously, this is generalizing greatly, but as you can see, the market's kind of working out the way we drew it here. And Pedro and I have been talking about the 95 to 100 level for a while now. Well, I think Pedro's sound has come back, Pedro. And so there's a good chance we could see a little turnaround here and hit that before it comes down and hits those levels that Pedro was talking about. Very possible that all this is BS here. And we just come right down to those levels that Pedro was talking about earlier in the show, the 80,000, potentially 75,000 level. But like we say over and over again, the market makers don't like to do things predictably. They like to take more money off the table, and that means ruining your plan. So you're like, ooh, they said it's going to go down there, we'll go short. No, they're going to make it go up and squeeze you out first, and then they'll drop it down. Grab the liquidity, then move the direction they want. Grab the liquidity down here, and then move the direction they want back up, and then that's how it works. And I do this for you new viewers. I do this because I was new at this, and I was pretty good at looking at the short time frames, but I was panic selling in profits. Not just panic, but I'd be like, ooh, I'd have profits. Yay, sell. But I would not let the trades go to terminus because I didn't have the confidence that the market was going to do what it's supposed to do and hit certain levels. No matter how much this man in the box would tell me, yeah, it's going to do that, I'd be like, oh, I'm just going to take my profits. And then I'd end up making less money than a McDonald's fry shift cook for the same time frame worked. And doing this, teaching me the longer time frames. If you watch the show every day, you're tired of me talking about this, but for you new people, this is teaching me the longer time frames and how to trust yourself and trust the shorter time frames that they're eventually going to do what they need to do. Why? Because Pedro had to not drill this in my head also, is that when you look at the 1 minute chart, 5 minute chart, 15 minute chart, hour chart, 4 hour chart, 8 hour chart, 12 hour chart, daily chart, it looks like the 1 minute chart builds all the way up to the daily chart. And that means you can just follow it all the way up and you can guess where it's going. But it works in the opposite. The longer time frames set the trend, and the lower time frame charts move up and down. They wiggle waggle along that trend. And I had to learn that the hard way, but now it's much easier for me. Anyway, Pedro's back. Thanks for whatever it is with your internet connection. Pedro.
Definitely. It's been
Dr. Fire Chicken in the house. Fire Chickens in the house, ladies and gentlemen. I have a feeling we might see Kumgar also. We see Fire Chicken, we might see Kumgar. Or Chuck Jensen. You never know. Never know which one you're going to see. Welcome to the show all the way from Oklahoma, Mr. Dr. Fire Chicken.
But ultimately, I think what we need to be paying attention to is really what's happening with the yen carry trade and money, cheap money kind of disappearing in relationship to what's been happening kind of around the world over the last 30 years. And I think people have been buying crypto with that. And the more and more I do see what's actually happening there. But we'll talk about that another day. I do want to kind of talk about a little bit kind of what's happening with the talks of the Mag 7 here. And we're just going to go over this real quick. You can see here that Google is starting to come down and broke through the 20, expecting Google to come and tap that 283 area here. And then from here, we'll wait and see. But this level is looking pretty snappy here. And yes, that is a technical term, meaning it snaps, meaning it will probably snap down to here and bounce up. It's snappy.
Definitely a technical analysis term there.
Definitely. So I'm looking at this area here. This is the kind of the area that I'm kind of looking at maybe picking up a little bit of it. It might come back down to that 226 area, but I think it'll take a lot of it to push down. But a pull back down into this, I mean, it'd be about 30 points, a bit of a sell-off, which would basically mirror kind of the broad market sell-off I'm expecting to see come in. And so that's around that 280, 278 area. Let's talk about Amazon. Amazon's already starting to show some weakness. And again, I was talking about that 197 area to that 194. Still very, very, very bullish with Amazon. But again, it has to have its pullback. So this area here is one of those things. And potentially that 166, 151 area. Apple was really interesting because there's been a lot of stuff that people are basically saying that they're trash when it comes to AI, and they're just, they're dead in the water here. They're just floundering. But I mean, this company literally has reserve of like 30 years. They literally have 30 years of reserve income that they could keep their company going and also research and development. And so it's like, it'd be silly to think that they're not trying to create some type of dope AI. So I feel like they're sooner or later going to come. So I'm expecting a bit of a sell-off here with Apple, and I hope it can come down to that 273 area. Excuse me, 237. I flipped the numbers there, but that's that 237 to the 235 area, and potentially coming down to that $200 mark. So we'll see kind of what's going to happen there. But these are some of the things I'm expecting to see when we have a pullback. Talked about Tesla. One interesting is Meta. Meta had a banging day yesterday. Shot up.
Banging day.
And then sold off. But there was a lot of volume, or a big movement for not a lot of volume coming in. And what was interesting is people, they had their dividends. And so people tried to buy in and take part of that dividend. But what was interesting is they said, they have been a strong company. I mean, it's just, granted they kind of failed on some of the stuff, but they still got a lot of stuff going on, especially with their AI, their Google, or not the Google glasses, but with the Meta glasses and everything that correlates it. They have a whole entire system. So I'm still very bullish on Meta, right? I like them at 592, but I really like them down at that 426 to that 351 area. So we see a bit of a sell-off down there. And I know it's 50% bit of a sell-off, but the reality is it's been, I mean, for a year I mean, for 2 years,
Yeah,
it went
that's
from
not
$100.
that's not that improbable for these big tech stocks. All they
Yeah,
need is two quarters in a row of just kind of meh, and people will move their money out really quickly.
Well, I'll put it like this: 2 years ago, it was at $88, and it peaked literally in August at 796. I mean, that's literally like a crypto chart there. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy. You're talking 7x, 8x there. So, for a large tech stock, that's just crazy. Netflix.
Two years
Netflix.
ago, $88.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, 2 years ago, 88, and it almost got up to $800. So 7 to 8x. Now, the other part behind it as well is that I'm looking at Netflix. Netflix coming down right now. They've been under because of they just raised their rates and they're trying to make more money and stuff like that. And there's been a few other controversial things with them, but ultimately, it's another HBO, it's another system, and they have a whole entire juggernaut of clients around the world, literally around the world. So I can't count them down and out, but I think they are going to see some fall from grace, and I think I'm definitely looking at them either at the previous high, which is sitting at that $68, and or down to the, again, one can only hope is that going to be that 30.
Well, we'll see how their fight to buy Warner Brothers goes. I don't know if that's closed or not, but they're fighting essentially Larry Ellison's son, essentially the second richest man on the planet for control of Warner Brothers. Larry Ellison's son runs Paramount, I think. I think the Oracle family bought Paramount a while ago. In the rare case where the rich guy's son says, "I want to be in Hollywood," and it worked out because they just bought Paramount and it's doing okay. Instead of trying to be an actor, it's like, just buy the whole thing. But anyway, that share price you see for Netflix there has taken a beating since the announcement that they were trying to buy Warner Brothers for $80 billion or some crazy amount. And only 10 years ago, Warner Brothers and these studios were valued at almost nothing, because they had high costs of running them. They hadn't properly monetized their content library yet. Netflix was essentially using it for almost free. And now $80 billion for what's up, Doc?
Hey, man.
I know many of you youngsters won't get that, but they won't get it. Anyway, hey, Pedro, we got a couple new viewers watching us on Rumble right now. To everyone watching us on Rumble, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. This is the special Space Lounge edition of the DYOR live show here on the DYOR Media Network. We're a daily talk show between 12 and 2 p.m. Eastern Time, talking about crypto, the trading markets, obviously top tech stocks, any of the financial instruments that day traders stick to, and those are usually the very highly liquid and the high trade volume things on Wall Street and out in the crypto sphere, because that's where the best trading happens. The more liquidity, the better the trading. So that's what we cover. And then we talk about the policies in Washington, D.C. and the economies around the world to give everyone a broad overview of the markets. And we call it edutainment because we're here to educate you and entertain you at the same time. So tonight has not been so much entertainment. Tonight has been Technical Tuesdays or mostly education. But maybe with a little extra of this brown stuff, there'll be more edutainment in a little bit. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Remember to like and follow us. It really helps us out. We're trying to grow on Rumble. It's been a great platform for us. They don't derate us for saying hitting certain politically sensitive topics, even though YouTube says, "Oh, we don't do that anymore." They even admit, they say, "Well, we're derating these certain topics because it's not advertiser friendly." So sign up for if a lot of you people watch it on your big screen TV and you don't have a Rumble account, this button here, see this QR code over on the side over here, says join Rumble. It doesn't mean you have to pay. It just means create a Rumble account. If you're watching on your big screen TV, you don't have an account, hold your cell phone up to that, pop that, and join Rumble. Find DYOR Media and hit that like button. And chat with us. You can chat and ask questions. We'll literally answer any question you want. You want stock advice, crypto advice? I mean, we'll tell you what we think is good and bad. You do what you want with your own money. You want to know what to do with your ex-wife or your kid that's gone wayward? Pedro and I have experienced it all. Come on, so we got an answer for you. Anyway, thanks to everyone that's watching. Really appreciate your eyeballs on our show here.
Absolutely.
Pedro, what's up?
Yes,
What's the strategy with strategy?
All right, so strategy is really well played. Strategy is actually interacting very well with the world. Selling off, coming down to these lower areas that I've been expecting here, that 144. And so I'm looking to start to purchase part of my strategy that I want to start doing, roughly around, like I talked about, the 144 to the 100 area here. We're already coming down close to the 144 to the 139, which is where I'm looking to really purchase my first entry into this strategy area here. But it's all based off the inter time frame. So if I don't see a bunch of demand wicks as we're coming down, I'm not going to get into it. But we're kind of seeing some demand wicks down at this level here. We saw the sell-off coming in. So I'm still kind of waiting to see what's happening. But I think we're really going to start seeing a pickup of demand wicks down at that 144, 141. And then if we do see a bit of a sell-off, I'm expecting that 101 area. So again, it all is predicated on these moves. But this again is at a point where it's leveraged, where I'm looking for MSTY, and that is a max yield, MSTY, which is a yield max, not max yield, but yield max strategy options, income strategy. And so it's one of those ones that I'm kind of just waiting and seeing. Hoping that we can see this continue to drop down at these lower levels here as we come down into it. I want to see this come down into that 18 to 17 cent or 17 to $18 mark. As we come into it, I want to see a lot more buyers starting to come. We're already watching buyers already starting to step in here. You can see how there's been an increase of buyers as we keep selling off. So obviously people understand the strategy and they're like, yeah, Bitcoin, it potentially, and I'm gauging this with Bitcoin, right? We talked about Bitcoin potentially in that 75 and potentially that 65. So if this does that drop, you would expect, potentially half of its market. So that means you're going from 32 on this to $16. And so if we come hit that, I think you'll see an incredible run up with this strategy. So I'm getting excited because the fact is that we're watching institutions starting to come in at these levels and going, yeah, this is a no-brainer to take part in this trade here, because Bitcoin's not, they just don't see an end of Bitcoin, right? And so you can leverage your money almost tenfold and 12-fold in a TradFi sense by playing option plays here. And you're talking, oops. I'm expecting this to get up and personal here, which if this comes down to that $16 area and to be playing, I mean, even if this gets to the 120 area here, it's still going to be a great play. We're talking a 10x in a year. So, and playing, and it's playing off of strategies, which is playing off of Bitcoin. So I just think it's kind of a no-brainer for me. Even if I throw in a couple $100, and at the end of the year, I'm receiving the dividend paid from it in addition to the capital appreciation of the initial investment. So that's really what I'm kind of excited about here, is for me personally, the dividend yield, which pays as of right now weekly. And so it's paying decent, you know what I'm saying? Like 13 cents on a $30 a yield, or on a $30 asset, right? And over a month period, we're talking, 13, 26, almost 50 cents, right? It's not bad. It's not a bad yield on a monthly basis. So yeah, we'll see as it starts to move, but yeah, I'm hoping it comes back down to these lower levels. So we'll see what happens with that strategy. And so you've got to play that on MSTR for strategies that correlate here. And again, I'm looking at that 101 area to buy in at that level of the MSTR Y for Misty. All right, so that's it in a nutshell for that. Now
Hey,
let's check
Pedro,
that.
quickly, Fire Chicken has been investing in those in MSTR, STRD, STRC, got VD at Mickey D's in DC. You know what line that show is for? That what show that
Yes.
line is from? Then you are an OG.
Sorry, MSTR. So here's my question. Bought more. So I don't like. I'm waiting for this stuff to come down to those levels to buy in. I'm not dollar cost averaging because these are really important. That those. So hear me out, Dr. Fire Chicken. Now, based off of what you're looking to do for the strategy, right? If you're looking just for dividend yield, it does okay, right? But if your capital that you invest in it isn't steady or moving up a little, you're losing money hard. And like I just be careful, right? Because you can ultimately, if your money just stays stagnant or goes down, it hurts you even more, right? The MSTR and STRD pay different, right? I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is if your MSTR and it's just all based off of if the underlying asset is moving up, you're good. If the underlying asset isn't, man, it's killing you. You buy STRK on further dips. We need to sit down and talk about that. STRK.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't been following the spin-off funds and companies that are all related to this. I haven't been following them well enough. It's hard. There's, I mean, Saylor is no slacker for being smart, and the things he issues are not things that are well established. They're all new plays. Welcome everyone's watching us on X. Thanks a lot. Appreciate the effort that you've gone into and watching us on X.
Interesting. We'll have to definitely play with that. It is getting late for me, so I'm gonna have to get going because I am like
This too. I figured we wouldn't go any later than 11 o'clock, but we can wind this up at any time here.
One of the things I've been looking at, we've talked about Shiba Inu. Shiba Inu is about to fall through again down to that 5 or 60. I think it's going to be 6, or is that 50638? And when it comes down to here, this is what I'm actually looking to get, and we're just starting to see it now continue down on this lower level. Now, again, I'm not looking to bet the farm here, but I think we'll see a rally here at this level and potentially pull back to that 8-7 area. So, excuse me, I can feel that sleep wanting to get on me. You can see here that this is what I'm looking at here as we're coming down into this level here. That's in a nutshell there. Ethereum, let's check out Ethereum here real quick. Ethereum is coming down again into our lower area of that 2618 to the 2592 area. If this thing does come down there, expect to see something like this. We're already starting to see people buying here. Look at this giant buyer wick here, and we're starting to see a smaller buyer wick. So again, as we're coming down, expect to start seeing. Excuse me, so sorry.
Pedro's fading, ladies and gentlemen.
I am, dude. Like, it's like my body is just saying, dude, I'm tired, dude. Like, we've been going all day. As we're coming down to that level, you want to see demand wicks kicking, which is similar to what we're seeing here. Look, see all those demand wicks kicking in. So you can see if we start to come down again, that's what we want to see. Is this is a picture like this down at these liquidity areas, and that's a clear sign of, okay, institutions are stepping in. They want to push it back up. So that's what we're looking for when it comes to Ethereum. BNB similar, but what's nice about with BNB is that you have the added backing of, honestly, CZ, right? Like, he's gonna stand behind his baby. This is where his wealth is at, and he'll do everything and anything under to keep this thing alive. Oh dear Lord, forgive me, guys. I am so sorry. I'm trying to stay awake. I'm literally from my eyelids just wanting to go to sleep. All right, so this is one of the ones I'm looking at here. We've definitely been buying off this liquidity area here. Ultimately, you want to wait until there's confirmation of that level there as we come down, and then correlate that with what was Aster. Okay, here we go.
Aster.
Maybe there. We're coming down into these lower levels. Where's my other Aster? I know I had a lower level down here.
Down another 5% today when the market was up today.
Yeah.
Aster took a beating.
So coming down to these lower levels is what I'm expecting. I like Aster. I think Aster is going to be a juggernaut. I think but I'm looking at like that 87 area. Not 87. Where is the other one? Aster. Maybe it's disappeared. Another one that I had that was lower. Here we go. All right, yeah, it's the Mexi. So it's coming down to our level here, and you can see here that level, that 73, it's coming down into our 72, 67 area, and we saw a big old demand wave coming into this level today. So we want to see that type of movement, but like we were just seeing with BNB, that's what we want to see with Aster as we come down into.
Yeah, you need more than one demand wick there, though. You need a couple of them. And Pedro, Aster, the money's coming out of Aster right now. Where's it going? Yeah. It's on the BNB chain. Is there something else? Any of you guys or gals or whomever, whatever's out there, know of anything else popular on the BNB chain, or is money coming out and people are sending it off to exchanges and banking it? Good question.
Yeah. Great question. Well, my friend, I went over everything that I wanted to. I am fading like a candle under a glass. So, and it's happening quick. It's like I'm just getting choked out. And normally I hate it because I'll push myself to that end level, and then it's just like, it's it. Sorry, got no more. That's all, folks. That's all, folks.
All right, hang with me for one news story here. Pedro, what I wanted to bring up last night and I didn't, but it makes a difference in these world markets here. Chile elects a new president and has done away with the left-wing progressive arm. And this guy's been trying to become president for a couple of years. Or a couple of elections, and Cast, who's only 2 years older than me, I might add. This guy's 59 years old. Was just elected to be. He's essentially like President Milei of Argentina, not ultra right wing, but just compared to where the country was going before. Has said enough with this socialist crap and high crime. Chile has had a massive increase in crime in the past decade because of socialist policies and that World Economic Forum crap that got into all these people's heads. And they've had amazingly enough, they've had a lot of illegal migration. Like Argentina, same problem, elected a new president, problem solved, inflation under control. Chile, this guy said, I want to get crime under control, get rid of illegal immigration because they have national health care. It's sapping their health care also. And and do away with inflation, immigration, and crime. Those two things. And he won, just like Bukele did in El Salvador, Milei did in Argentina, and now Cast is doing it in Chile. And what that means is that it's possible that in future Technical Tuesdays, you'll be talking about the bond markets of countries in South America.
Dude, that would be so cool.
Like you talk about the bond markets essentially in Europe, not like the United States, but they'll have a strong bond market that people will trade and invest in, and the countries can use it as a measure of security. These are all good things happening down there. Congratulations to Chile for doing that. We had a couple of viewers from Chile. I think the guys from Weibo are from Chile. I'd like to maybe get their view on this one of these days. But I bring that up now because, if we can see the majority of the population, let's forget Venezuela. For now, they have a dictator that's driving the country into the ground. We all know eventually Venezuela will come around. They've got oil. When they get a president like these guys and says, all right, let's do this right, they'll have oil bonds, the country's debt or the country's credit will come back and all will be good. South America could become a powerhouse once again. And that can only help the United States because we all have aligned interests here in the Western Hemisphere. So I thought that would be interesting for us to watch and to see if we can start counting on South America, because my high school Spanish is gone and your Spanish is good but not great. We might have to learn
it. Yeah,
right.
Dude, I agree. Like South America, if South America gets their act together and really starts to crunch down on the cartels, really put together a conglomerate of state nations, right, that sit much like Europe, but actually don't allow for the governments. I mean, if they just get their governments together and stop being ran by the cartel. I'm gonna say douchebags because it's not even the people. It's just the elite of those nations. Just like it would be awesome. It would be absolutely amazing. And then what would happen is America could actually trade with them. And and imagine being able to have real trade with South America as well as Canada. Dude, we would be the powerhouse of the world by far.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Pedro, thank you very much for your efforts, and I really appreciate Technical Tuesdays. Always good to learn. Always good to teach you guys, especially on the bond markets, the intricacies of it. It's tough to get through the 10, 20, and 30-year bonds, but knowing what they represent is very important. But anyway, as for Bitcoin and the rest of the crew, we'll be back to talk about them tomorrow. I'm sorry, Pedro, I forgot to mention, if you can go later tomorrow, I'd appreciate it. Natasha and I have a business lunch meeting that I can't miss.
I don't know about
we'll
that
talk
one.
behind the scenes. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot. Really appreciate for joining us here in the Space Lounge here this Tuesday night, December 16th. Getting close to Christmas. If we don't see you until Christmas, that's not going to happen. You got to come back and watch our shows all the way up until Christmas. Thanks to all you new viewers that joined us today. Thanks to everyone that's tuning out as we speak right now.
Yeah.
On behalf of Pedro Garcia and my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to host another episode of this great show. We will see you later.